Imagine for a minute being a boss, usually probably of teenagers, although maybe others, a teacher, and the amount of excuses that they get every day. When the teacher says, "Well, where's your homework?" "Well, the dog ate it." We had an issue with family." I wasn't feeling well." All those types of things. And a boss be like, "Why are you late?" "Well, there was traffic. I had an issue at home." So lots of times we receive excuses. I'm sure you have received many as well. So you might want to think about that as we prepare for the episode. Today, we're going to talk about excuses, receiving them, and more, all on episode 898 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm well, although that seemed a little reserved, especially considering you have fast new internet. I was expecting like a very energetic, fast-moving Bob in that.
I'm a little sluggish today. I've had a busy week. I haven't been sleeping well, and it's catching up with me.
Trying to figure out how to receive that. Anyhow, good morning and welcome everyone to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast.
Wait a second. That's what's real for me right now.
Did I judge it? All I said was I'm trying to understand how to receive that.
All right.
I didn't say I didn't believe you, because I actually believe you. I actually knew that was the case, that you had a lot going on. And so I believed that was what was real. I think you judged me then.
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Folks, this is just a continuation of yesterday's episode, clearly.
No, completely
Where
different.
the gloves were off.
Except we did that 2 days ago. We recorded that episode, so that's long gone.
Yes, that's true.
All right, everyone, good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I have a topic. Sometimes we choose them, and sometimes others give them to us. If you have a topic you'd like us to discuss for the week, please feel free to share it. Otherwise, we'll just have to pick one. And as we go through that topic each day, we dive a little bit deeper into the conversation. All week long, we've been talking about excuses. Hopefully you caught yesterday's episode, which was a fascinating conversation around an actual thing that happened between the two of us the day we recorded. It was interesting. So please feel free to go back and check out episode 897. And as we go through the conversation of the topic each day, we welcome your thoughts and ideas. Please feel free to put them in the comments, because we know that it'll add value to the conversation and may impact someone out there who wasn't quite certain, was a little overwhelmed, a little bit of confusion and chaos going on around this topic, and they weren't sure how to move forward. And your thoughts and ideas may help them move forward. And then at the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out how, if you're the one who's actually struggling, frustrated, uncertain, not really sure knowing what to do, how to deal with excuses.
This from Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. It was a great episode yesterday. Yes, it was one of my favorites, not just because of the content, but because, it's nice to see you on the receiving end of some of the lessons learned. I always feel like I put myself out there each episode and cringe. And yesterday, as I listened to it again later in the day yesterday, I was cringing for you.
I was all right with it. It's fine. I'm all about lessons learned.
Okay.
Rather than judgment.
I like lessons learned from other people's experiences, not my own. Even better when I'm helping them learn the lesson and it's not me who's the person in the middle of the lesson. But
so you got it all figured out? You don't need to learn anything new?
No, that's not true. I just like to learn vicariously through other people's experiences.
because they're exactly like yours.
No, because they're less painful to realize that, it's easier to accept that you're not perfect than me not being perfect.
Okay, trying to figure that out. I'll have to think more on that.
Okay.
Anyhow, of course, as Bob and I share our antidote, we would encourage you as well. If you have an antidote you'd like to share, please feel free to do it. Because we know that one of the hardest things, sometimes we're all alone out there trying to figure it out on our own. Not an easy thing to do, even though we feel that's what we're supposed to do, because we're the ones in charge, we're the leader, it's our business, all those types of things. Yet, like each of us, Bob and I, we don't have all the answers. We just have a conversation so that we can learn and help figure it out. And if you're someone who's struggling with that, if you feel like you just can't, you feel like you're alone and you have no one to talk to and no one to help you figure out the chaos and confusion you might be going through, you may want to reach out to Bob or me, and we can talk to you a little bit about our Sculpture Business Program that helps people, especially as you get ready to go from that summer time, work, professional, personal, to, all right, how do I get back into the swing of things to finish?
Maybe hit those 2023 goals that you've set back in January and you've thrown in the pile, and now you're going, oh my God, it's almost the end of summer and I haven't done any of those. You mean that kind of thing?
Maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe it's those same goals that
I'm asking for a friend.
That you're stuck and uncertain how to get there. Why, were you looking at your goals the other day, Bob, or were you?
I was.
Change.
I actually have a vision board as my screensaver.
I remember that. I forgot about that.
I see that all day, every day. And I was looking at that vision board and trying to mark off the ones in my head of the ones I had achieved. And let's just say the last 4 months of the year better be darn busy.
They might just be different. Sometimes goals change.
Yes.
So maybe you need to sign up for the Sculpture Business Program. You can be a participant.
Isn't that what this program is really about? Aren't we sculpting? We're sculpting Bob day by day. 898 cuts to the the piece of wood as we whittle it down to a beautiful depiction of I don't know, maybe the thinker. No,
you're too tall for that.
Okay.
You'd be all wrapped up, and
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's not the maybe Atlas, maybe. Anyhow, if that's something,
is he the one like this?
No, he's carrying the world on his back.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's I feel that way some days.
Yeah. Anyhow, of course, if you have one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments, because your antidote might be the one thing that somebody needs, especially today, to help them figure out how to move forward. So please feel free to share your value. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I do our celebrations. And you know what we could do, Bob? I was thinking about this. We could encourage our listeners when we're doing ours to put their celebrations in the comments. Why?
I love that idea.
Why have we just left it to ourselves to share? Huh.
I don't even have a clue why. It
only took us 898 episodes to figure out.
The iterative quality of this program. So, and probably if we're going to do that, we should explain what the celebrations really are for.
Absolutely.
Celebrations give us a chance to look at something that's happened and not judge the results as much as the step we took.
Or something that's going to happen.
Or something that's going to happen, or just something that causes us to look at the world a little differently. So mine from yesterday, I rent an office from a person, actually, that let me use it for free at this point, which is really kind. And I haven't seen that person in several months. And I went in and I said, hey, how are you doing? And he said, pull up a chair. And we started talking about personal stuff. And then he asked me some questions about my business. I gave him some answers. I didn't give him excuses. And he was really kind to spend about 45 minutes giving me some insights into something I've been trying to figure out. And it was just completely, genuinely supportive. No transaction of money, no anything, just I want to help you get where you want to go. And it really, I've done that with a lot of people. I've been the person to try to help people a lot, and it was really interesting to receive that from someone and to feel like, wow, this person believes that I can do these things I've talked about enough that they're willing to take their valuable time and help me talk through it, help me sort through it, challenge my opinions on a couple of things, give me new information, and even say, hey, we should do this regularly because I really think that I can help you get towards this goal that you've been chasing around for a while now. So thank you, Roger, for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very, very nice. Yes. And very unexpected. I actually was going in to tell him that I was going to no longer use the office. And I never did say that to him. I just said to him at one point, I'm like, hey, you don't need that office, do you? He's like, no, it's fine. You know, I'm like, I'm not in there that much anymore. And he said, I know, it's fine. I'll tell you if I need it. Okay, that's fine. So very kind.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's your celebration?
That's my celebration.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. You were explaining celebrations and then you kind of dove
Well,
into
I morphed into it. I kind of moved that little.
Okay. Fair enough.
How
what
about
I
you?
would say is that if people listening want to share their celebration, please feel free to share your celebration in the comments. We'd love to celebrate along with you. And I
Big
think
or small?
That's a judgment. It's just a celebration.
But it doesn't have to be like this life-changing thing. Like if we had been live yesterday morning, I was up early and I watched the sunrise. And I don't see the sunrise as much now as I used to. There used to be a time when I ran in the morning and I ran as the sun was rising. And yesterday I watched the sunrise in my rear view mirror as I was driving. And I was thinking, wow, this is really, I've forgotten how pretty these are.
So was that a big thing or a small thing? Or just a thing?
I think at the moment, it was a big thing. It was wow, how lucky am I? You know, I was mad that I was up early because I had to get out of bed early and I was facing a little traffic and I was going to a meeting that I committed to going to. And so I was kind of frustrated by that. And then this beautiful sunrise was in my rear view mirror. And I thought, oh, okay. I need to adjust my thinking here to the fact that were I not up early, if I were not going to this meeting, I would not have seen this beautiful sunrise. So that would have been yesterday's celebration. So someone might say, oh, that's a little thing because I see the sunrise every morning because I got up early. Or someone might say, oh, it's a big thing. I haven't seen the sunrise in forever.
Or it's just a thing. It's all about your perspective.
Jack's with us this morning and says, having perseverance pay off. 2 examples this week. Okay, there you go. Perseverance. That is a word that I have trouble spelling.
Really? You?
Yes, that's it. That and occasional or occasion. I never remember if it's 2 S's or 2 C's.
The double letter.
And back when I was in journalism school, back when they had newspapers, you know, the olden days, in journalism school, there was a test you had to take every semester of all the words, all the tricky words, like is harassment with 2 R's and 2 S's. Embarrassment was one, harassment. Trying to think of some of the other words. This whole list of words that you had to learn them. Oddly enough, occasion and occasional were never in that set. But I did teach my college students when I was teaching writing to students. And I'd say to them, you know, one of the great things about being a writer is, you know, the words you can't say or that you can't write, that you can't spell. And I said, you wouldn't believe how many times I've used the word frequently when occasionally would have been my first choice, but I can't spell occasionally. So I just write frequently. And they would be like, you're joking. I'm like, nope, that's the writer. Know your weakness and steer away from it.
Oh, certainly. Certainly.
I'm sure Jack's going, oh, I can't believe he's saying that. I'm giving away all the writer's secrets.
Jack probably has a couple of words that he doesn't. That he's the same.
I'd love to know what Jack's words that he struggles to spell are. Maybe that's a question for me to put in the group. What's a word you struggle to spell? What's the word you struggle to spell? Do you have a word you struggle to spell?
I don't know. I have to think more about it. I think I so forget it and just move on to whatever is a word I know how to spell that I don't see it
Like
as
perseverate would be a word that I couldn't spell very
the
easily.
word that I had trouble. Oh shoot! I thought I had it and I couldn't. I was going to say I lost a spelling bee contest, and I can't
now
remember.
this is good.
I can't remember what the word was though. It was like
I am sure that your mother or father would know and could chime in. Ask, they would know. They were there.
no, they weren't. It was
They
a
weren't there for a
small. It was like
spelling
an
bee?
in-school class thing. It wasn't like a big
This wasn't
spelling bee
like the
competition.
Scripps.
No.
No, not the big one that they put on ESPN.
No.
Oh,
No.
which is one of the most stressful things. I actually went to that one year. I had to write a story because someone from the community I was writing about was in it. Went to DC for it. It was so difficult. It was so stressful. So stressful.
Sure.
You just felt for those kids because they're up there, and they're 13 years old, and they're like, the whole world's on their shoulders.
Which
Talk
should
about
be fun,
Atlas,
right? It's a competition, and yes, there should be some, and yet it's a fun thing to do. So why has it become so stressful? That could be a whole nother conversation.
Could be.
Instead, let's get back. I'll do my
All right.
celebration.
So Jack says it's easy with cell phones as they self-correct as you type. Unless you've taught your cell phone when you go back, when you think you know more than your cell phone, you go backwards, then your cell phone learns that you've taught it a new word. Like COVID was wrong on my phone until the time I went back and then it goes, oh, so you meant it this way.
And you probably use the capital, which usually means it's like, oh, okay, that must be a word.
Right.
Anyhow, got a little sidetracked there. So
don't be making excuses.
No. Thank you, Jack, for sharing your celebration.
What's your celebration? Yes.
That's what I was getting to.
Okay.
I'm not 100% positive this is going to happen. And I'm going to really try to make it happen. We'll see how it plays out. So today is going to be a little bit, I think, of some self-care day today for Tom. For me, I hate to do that. I hate to talk in the third person. So it was a long lacrosse season, and I'm on my feet a lot. And so today, this afternoon, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go get my hair cut and then get a pedicure because my feet feel so much better after that. Have you ever had one?
So it's funny you bring this up. I had a little bit of a fungal thing working on one of my toes for years. And someone wiser than me said, you really should go to my guy who does pedicures. He'll fix it. And so I could, it was bad enough that last summer, I was with this person at a pool and people were commenting about my toe. That's how bad it was. Pretty black and pretty not good. So, and it's like, how long have you had this problem? Oh, it's been 15 years, probably 20 years. I'm like, okay, you need to deal with this. So when's this person? And he basically surgically removed pretty much half the nail and said, do this, put tea tree oil on, I'll treat it. And he's gotten it to a place where I actually, last night I was walking around barefoot in a place where I would never be barefoot. I can't. I've been to the beach this summer barefoot. I've been to pools barefoot. I took my shoes off in the car one day. My feet don't even know what's going on. They're like, oh my God, the sun. So I understand the pedicure. And I'm not someone who likes that kind of touchy self-care thing. You might say that I'm a little tactile defensive. I think that's the scientific term I've heard for it. But this guy's great, and I literally play on my phone while he does all this stuff to my toenails, and it is very nice. And he also presses these pressure points that, it's well worth it. That's a good investment.
So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, I got to see how a couple things play out, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I try to do it once a month.
That was that was my plan in the season. Oh, my plans in the season. My goals for next year. I'm trying to get in a habit.
Part of it is admitting to yourself that you need to take the time for self-care.
Sure.
Like there was something about, I had just gotten used to this toe and just not having my shoes off. And now there's a person that when I'm in their place, they want shoes off just because they have nice carpet and don't want to mess it up. And it's like a year ago, I would have been like, oh, I got to wear socks and blah, blah, blah. And now I've got, take the shoes off, don't even think about it.
There you go.
But,
all right.
Hey, all because of pedicure. Danny at Classy Nails.
There you go.
There you go. Danny's the man.
All right. Should we dive into our topic?
What the heck?
Do you want to kick it off? Or you want me to?
No, I will. It's interesting you brought up the whole school example, because when I was teaching, I taught writing, and the students would have deadlines. When I taught high school, it was certainly difficult. It'd be like, hey, you have to have your note cards done by this day. And 2 or 3 days beforehand, it would be like, hey, I can't do it because the big soccer game's Thursday night and they're due Friday. And it's like, you've had 3 weeks, dude. Just figure it out. You're not getting a free. Well, Mr. Johnson let me have an extra 3 days because, of course, Mr. Johnson was the soccer coach. So, he allowed for excuses. I had a reputation when I taught that there were no excuses. I came from a journalism background. Paper goes out. The deadline for the paper is 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m., not 10:01, not 11:30, not 3 days later. And so I would say, students, one of the ways that you get used to deadlines and work with deadlines is to have deadlines. So in my mind, once you pass the deadline, those words are really how I think of it. You're dead after that line is crossed. There's no coming back.
None.
None. No, I'm a firm believer in deadlines, very much so. Because when you work at a newspaper, you have to print the paper. Think about it. If you go back to the days, or let's try a better example now, okay, or more current example. The 10 o'clock news program in the evening starts at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
There has to be an anchorman who comes on and says, hey, it's Thursday afternoon or Thursday night, or blah, blah. And then they have to have a reporter to go to, and they have to have a story to cover. And the reporter can't be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was watching the Friends rerun. It was my favorite episode. And I didn't get to that murder. So, we're going to go out to the murder scene. And there's a camera and there's no one saying, behind me, you can see the trees. It's all got to fall into place. And I think that's part of, if they were to make excuses, and people who are in that world, it's funny. I can tell a person about deadlines just by how they show up. I'm like, oh, you must have had a job somewhere where you had deadlines. Oh, I worked in this, I worked for the government where a friend of mine, he did RFPs. They were due at noon. Not 12:01. 12:01. Thank you very much. Rip. Next. And we're talking millions of dollars. So they got used to it. And I worked in a situation where we had a courier that would take stuff. And I worked at one place where they had 2 couriers take the same document to the same location in case the first one didn't get there. Because these were multi-million-dollar deals with the government, and they couldn't afford to be late. So they had a hard deadline. There was no excuse. Couldn't be like, well, I got stuck in traffic. No, we sent 2 guys 2 different ways. What I find in small business and in leadership is, we tend to be more tolerant of excuses. I'm rather tolerant of excuses with some of my clients. Today is a day.
So why them and not students?
What's that?
Why them and not students? The students you talk
with the students, I was trying to establish the habit of getting to a place where you actually respected deadlines. Because I think you have to respect deadlines. You can skip deadlines, but you have to know the consequences.
Sure.
And when we come to excuses, I told you before the program, I was up late last night. I've been up a couple of nights late this week. I've been a little bit distracted. I don't feel very good this morning. Nothing would make me happier than going back to bed. And I could excuse it with, my mother's at the airport tonight. I need to pick up my mother at 11:30, which is probably going to be 12:30 or 1 o'clock. So it's another late night. So I could cancel my meetings today and go to bed. totally excuse myself. You know what, Bob? You've been working hard. You need some downtime, self-care, blah, blah, blah. Conversely, I could just suck it up and do the job because 80% of the things that I chose to do to get me to this place today were voluntary. I didn't have to stay up till 1:30 the other night. I didn't have to go do some other things that I did in the last couple of days. They were my choice. They were personal choices. I'm not regretting them. Now I'm paying the price. It's just like my students who had, they'd have a test on Friday. And it's like, oh, dude, I can't take the test today because I'm hungover. I'm like, I'm sorry, you knew the test was coming. Why did you get drunk Thursday night? Why didn't you wait till Friday night when you knew the test was Friday morning? Well, all my friends were getting together. Thursday's the new Friday, and we always go out for Thursday night. Okay, you made a choice. I think we often excuse it. And that student wanted me to let them off the hook. And I think what I've learned is the person who lets me off the hook the best is me. I am this close to end this program, cancel everything I have today, and go back to bed. I'm like razor thin close.
Okay. Couldn't that be what's real for you in the moment?
But it also is not what's going to help me achieve my goals. So if I look at that vision board and say, these are the things that I said at the beginning of the year are important to me. I think I even posted the vision board in the group. You could go back and find it in early January and be like, dude, where are you on all these? Yeah, I got some work to do. There are 2 cars on there. One for me and one for someone else. There's not a shot at the moment of a car coming this year. So if I go back to bed, I can pretty much guarantee to you the odds of a car being bought this year are slim and none. If I work through the day, I might meet someone. I might go to a networking event. I might have something happen that moves towards those goals. So the excuse I can give myself is, Bob, it's August. Everyone else took a week off and you haven't had a week off and you're just taking a day here and there. Or, hey, Bob, no excuse. You dug your hole, suck it up today, work tomorrow. And guess what? That's why God gave you Saturday and Sunday. Chill your plans out for the weekend. Maybe, God forbid, miss the NASCAR race Sunday and sleep Sunday. I know, right? Heresy.
Well,
blasphemy to miss the NASCAR race.
Here's another scenario.
Okay.
You suck it up, I think, as you said, and you keep working.
Yeah.
Even though you're probably not as productive as you could be. Very much.
Yes.
You fight through it.
You even said at the beginning of the program, I wasn't as energetic as usual.
Well, that was a joke about your internet, not about anything else.
I could tell I wasn't my usual peppy self. I can tell I'm sort of sluggish.
So you could work through this.
Yes.
And because you're not feeling great, you might not be at the same place to receive or acknowledge someone you meet, connect with, who could be of a value as you might have otherwise.
Correct.
You work, maybe you even work late as a way to make up for it. Wake up tomorrow and you feel worse. And so now you struggle again and you have to decide, do I suck it up and work through it? Or do I stop and do something different? I'm not sure that we know the answer because we can't see the future. I felt that way yesterday. The dogs were up early, so I was up at like 4:30, and by the afternoon I was toast. I had a couple of calls that I got through, and I could have said, wow, I didn't really get a lot done today, and maybe I should work tonight. Or I could go to bed early, take care of it, and then feel like I do today, feel much better, ready to attack the things that I didn't get to yesterday in a different mindset. So, I think that I think it's that feeling of things that are real that we sometimes have to not take as an excuse, and take as, you know what, this is reality. And yes, I could do something different. You know, so what happened when your students in high school, if the thing was due on Thursday and they had a death in the family on Monday and they had to travel out of town and it was an important family member, would you have extended the deadline then, or would you have been the hard guy, been like, nope, it's due Thursday. Sorry, you're out of
No,
luck.
I would had to in that situation, but
Why?
they had to have a note from their parent, and there was a process for that. That would have gone to the principal, and the principal would have sent all the teachers a note saying, and this was back in the handwritten note days before the internet, if you can believe that. And you would have gotten a note saying, Sadie had a death in her family. She's going to be out of town Thursday and Friday. Please extend whatever deadline she had for Thursday or Friday or tests that she had to the middle of next week.
So you didn't extend it. Someone else extended it.
Correct. The system would extend it.
But not you.
No, but in that situation, I would have.
Why?
Because it's a situation that's outside their control. Where it's an excuse to me is when you could have prevented it. Here's the deal, Tom. I didn't have to be up late last night. I didn't have to be up late Monday night. I didn't need to be up with my dog at 3 a.m. yesterday morning. My cat. Sorry, I could have told. Yeah, that was weird. Could have told my cat, "Hey, go back to sleep, you knucklehead," and I didn't. I made choices. I also packed this week with stuff because I'm going to play golf a couple of days next week. So I'm trying to move quickly to get some things, get ahead this week. And I think I may have picked up a bug or something the last 48 hours, which wasn't in the plan. And odd because I haven't, what's it? Sucking it up too often leads to burnout, says Kelly. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't feel great yesterday. And I felt even worse last night. I feel even less good today. Like I would say if it's 100% normally and I'm usually operating at 96%, I'm at about 45 right now.
Okay.
Like when you start talking, all I want to do is be like, keep going, Tom. Go, Tom. I'm listening. That's not like me at all.
Okay.
I rarely feel that way. It's usually all push, 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 or, crash, crash, crash. We've got a couple other comments. Kelly said earlier, is it because of leadership or because of culture? I can't remember what that's in reference to.
I'm sure it was too about being accepting the excuses.
Right, yeah.
Or the small business when you were I think it showed up when you were talking about small business.
Okay, yeah. And I do think culturally we're in a place where we accept more excuses. And also, as you and I pointed out in the episode yesterday, we are professionals at giving excuses to avoid responsibility. Well, I can sit and excuse the fact this morning. I can't excuse what the last couple of days is. Hey, you know what? I've been enjoying myself. For so long, I wasn't enjoying myself. Now I'm enjoying myself a little bit. So guess what? Work kind of suffered a little bit because of that. Okay, I can give myself that excuse. That's an excuse. But then I look at
what's real.
But here's the thing. I look at the vision board. I made a commitment to myself back in January, and I'm not honoring that commitment. So that means I'm making excuses. And those excuses are standing in the way of me achieving those goals. I said in January I was going to buy 2 cars this year.
Okay.
I'm not even sure I could afford 8 tires right now.
Well, here's the thing. Do things change with time?
They do, but why did I do the vision board? Why did I waste my time in January figuring out what I was going to try to do? Sure,
you provided yourself with a goal, something to shoot for, knowing that results we can't control. From the moment that board was put together, there were many things out of your control that could keep you from doing that. Yes. Are there some in your control that you could? Yes. And there are many, 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 many more out of your control. Vision boards and goals are great for getting us started. And many times we can achieve some of those things. And other times things happen that get in the way.
It's funny,
And
as you say that, I realized I bought a condo, which I wasn't planning on.
Fascinating. Things changed. Here's what you didn't do. You didn't go back to your vision board and say, how am I making, especially when you were making the decision to buy a condo, and say, in the beginning of January, buying 2 cars was important. Instead, as the time went on, you chose to buy a condo. So maybe you could have either added the condo to your vision board as a result, and at the same time taken off the 2 cars. So you're not staring at it and looking at what did I not do? Rather, what have I done? So there's almost like the need for a vision board and a results board. What about that?
That's
for
an
a thought?
interesting idea.
So as you go through the year, because here's the thing. How often do we go back with goals or with visions, and all they serve as is a reminder of what we haven't done that may or may not have been in our control? If we took that vision board and at the same time we had a result board through the year and started going in and saying, hey, I got this, boom, put this on here. Hey, I did this, put this on there. Hey, I did that. Sometimes they were the things in your vision, and sometimes things change. And what becomes more valuable is what you actually did rather than what you wanted to do.
I'm going to have to
drop the mic on that.
I don't think 2 old white guys can do mic drops. It's contractually prohibited.
Sorry. I'll go back and erase
it. It's interesting you say that, because as you were talking, I was thinking of a couple of big things that I did accomplish that didn't show up on the vision board that require time and effort and are what make me happy. And maybe what I envisioned in January to make me happy. And they were very tangible things. And a lot of the things that I've gotten that I would say I've accomplished are not as tangible. They're not the kinds of things that you would draw a picture on a vision board on.
And yet, what have you done every day?
Yesterday, I had a moment where I was like, I'm actually content. I can't tell you that I could say I was content more than maybe 15 minutes in my life, honestly. And there was a moment yesterday where I literally stopped and said, you know what? I'm perfectly content right this minute. I would have never, ever in a million years put on my vision board content, which would be a great word to put on there. Maybe next year I put it on there. I didn't even know. I don't know that I could have defined it. And to be content might be more valuable than 2 cars, the condos, the making $1 million, the, being on the biggest stage in the world and going to Jamaica and all those other things that ended up on the vision board. And maybe that's the fallacy of the vision board, because I didn't put feelings, I didn't put things that are more intangible, but very important. So being content, how cool is that? And even, I can hear my therapist going, the fact that you could even identify what content is, take a moment, think about it, put yourself in the place to realize that you were there, and then acknowledge it to yourself, and then even more acknowledge it publicly. She'd be like, oh my God, all those hours are starting to pay off.
Well, it's because we end up judging. I imagine every time you look at that vision board, you have spent time judging your year to date.
No, I look at it more like, I really would like to accomplish these things. And I did a couple days ago, I had a moment where it was, should I just give this up and take it off my screensaver? And then I thought, you know what? No, because who knows? It's still, I don't think I've given up on it. I think what I might do is, I don't want to share it publicly for a variety of reasons, but I think for you, I'm going to create the things that, if you're willing to look at it just for accountability more than anything else, the list of things that I have accomplished this year, that if I were redoing a vision board today, it'd be like, these are really important to me. And I guess that's your results vary. But I want to make sure that I'm not making excuses for myself. So I'm saying, oh, well, I had this moment yesterday. I was really at peace and I was content. And therefore, I don't need 2 cars. And I bought a condo, so I don't need a car. Where does it become an excuse versus things change? Because as you and I pointed out repeatedly in yesterday's episode, we are really good at finding the excuse to take responsibility for not achieving the goals. And interestingly, what I'll replace the vision board with, which was very concrete, I would say largely money-oriented goals, what it would be replaced with is a lot of non-money oriented things. So if you're doing your math at home, you're going, oh, so he's found happiness and contentment. That's really nice. It doesn't sound like he's making a whole lot of money because he's not able to buy a car. Question is, which one's more important? I'm not sure I know the answer to that. But I fear I'm making excuses to myself.
Well, I think a lot of it is about, what was your vision board about? Was it about your life or about your work? I think they're different.
I think it was a little bit of a combination, but much more about my work and how my work could affect my life.
Well, which is not surprising. It's what we do, right? Why would we set goals? Our goals are typically, not always, but typically they're around what do we do within our work, our business, whatever that might be.
Right.
Yes, we probably also have some personal goals. I think they are great to help us make decisions initially and maybe continuously. So now that you've at least had that thought, you might look back and be like, wow, I may not have I may not as far along with some of the things on my vision board, yet I've found other things that I didn't even think about, which has value. And now you get the opportunity to decide, do I go back and try to find more moments of contentment, just giving what you talked about? Or is it more important for me to go and figure out how do I achieve buying 2 cars? Because that's still important to me.
Right.
And balancing, and then you just have to prioritize, which is more important at what times. And those are going to change.
Right. And
being able
to figuring out. So if I'm playing this out with you right now, if we're doing a little therapy, which from time to time we do, I think if that vision board is really important to me today, not what it was 7 months ago, but today. If it is, then I've got to suck it up and work today and tomorrow. And honestly, next week when I'm supposed to be playing golf, I probably should be working. However, if my vision of my life has changed from then and become a broader perspective of Bob the person, not Bob the business person, then taking some time today to rest wouldn't be a bad idea. Going to play golf for a couple days next week, probably not a bad idea, because I might actually get away from my work for a couple days and come back and be like, oh, wow, didn't realize this thing. Sometimes the best ideas come when we're not doing our work.
Or you're more excited to do it.
Right. And the person I'll be playing golf with for the couple days is a really good advisor about my business. So there will be discussion along the way about, well, have you thought about this and have you thought about that? So it's not like it's a complete throwaway couple days.
Well,
and I can excuse it. Here's how good I am. I can excuse it by saying everyone else has taken at least a week of vacation this summer. I took a couple days here and there, but I haven't taken a full week, and I'm just going to take 3 days. That's not a big deal.
Here's
I'm
an idea for you.
entitled to that, right? I run my own business. I should have a couple days off. I'm not that bad a boss.
Who cares what others do?
Me.
Why?
Always have.
Why are you comparing what happens when you compare yourself to someone else? Usually.
For me, I fall short.
Well, you said it without saying what you do. Is you judge yourself. And of course, you pick all the people who seemingly to you are further ahead. Not let me measure myself against somebody who, because maybe they don't share it, is really struggling. And
Well,
maybe
they're further ahead in
be
some ways
further
than
ahead.
not others, right?
What's that?
They may be further ahead in some ways than not others. So they heard the word I just said, content, 5 minutes ago, and they're like, I don't even know what he's talking about.
I couldn't even imagine it. I've
Right.
never been content, maybe they could say.
Right. They're looking up the definition going, I don't even know. That's interesting. I can't even imagine. That's going to be on this vision board? That's weird. Tom, out of fairness to my sister, I need to jump in with her comment from a while ago. Good morning, Bob and Tom. A city judge told me at a truancy court hearing for Adam, my nephew, making excuses is leading to failure and not success. Have a great day. I hope the judge didn't say, have a great day.
As a follow-up.
It's a mic drop, right?
Right.
Making excuses is leading to failure, not success. Have a great day. But yeah.
I think this is what the challenge is. And I think it's a challenge for anybody who receives excuses and determines them to be excuses. Is it an excuse or is it what's real? You could tell yourself that the excuse I'm using is I don't feel well. That could be an excuse. Could also be what's real. And so who am I to then judge what it is? That's the challenge. You don't think that there wasn't one time ever that a dog ate some kid's homework?
Actually, it's funny you say that. I actually had a student one year bring a photo in. This was back when they had real photos of his homework, and it looked like he had been bit by a dog, and he gave copies to 4 teachers. And 2 of us were in the lunchroom together, the faculty lunchroom, and we were talking about it, telling the story, and we had the pictures with it. And we're dissecting these pictures like, is this really dog bites or did he create it? And a 3rd teacher heard us and said, look, here's the deal. If he went to that much trouble, serious creativity,
Right.
we should encourage this.
Might be more valuable than the homework they did.
That's right.
Or didn't do.
That's right. He doesn't know how to splice a comma or why a comma splice occurs, but boy, he can tell a good story. With visuals.
Which for that person
might be more valuable.
So do you have your one thing? Man, we're getting long again.
I do. I think the one thing for me is when we talk about excuses and receiving them, the person who receives the most is we from ourselves. I project onto other people excuses all the time, but as we've been talking today, I realize the only one who's giving me excuses and the only excuses I accept are the ones from me. I'm really tired today. I was up really late last night. I have to be at the airport late tonight. I need like 4 or 5 hours just to chill out. I'm gonna go take a nap. And you know what? Those meetings aren't really that important, even though it's something I committed to. They'll understand. I mean, they've all been on vacation for a weekend or for a week this year, and I haven't done that. I've been at every other meeting. Literally, that's what's running through my head. That's been the nonstop soundtrack in my head since about 5:30 this morning. The question is, do I listen to that soundtrack or do I listen to the voice that says, hey, you know what? You made your bed. figure it out. And if I were telling my student, hey, you know what? You were up late the last couple nights, dude. You knew you had a test today. Suck it up. You can sleep over the weekend.
Okay.
There was
I'm
one
not sure
thing.
what the one thing is in there.
Well, I think the one thing is we give ourselves the excuse, and we're more accepting of the excuse from ourselves.
I think interesting. I think my one thing is that the challenge about receiving excuses, whether from yourself or from others, is accepting that that's what's real or judging. And I think most times we judge. And that just leads to getting stuck and frustrated and uncertain. And obviously, if it happens over and over and over and over and over again, it becomes a pattern. Well, yes, now maybe what we've learned is that the person sharing it with us, whether ourselves or someone else, is using it as an excuse. So how do I then deal with that? We could also, in that judgment, be incorrect. And it could be what is real for them. And we've judged it and not allowed them to share what's real for them. So I think inside of you, because of whatever reason, you think that feeling tired because you did some things that brought you contentment.
Mm-hmm.
With all those things that you chose, there was some contentment, which, as you said, may have been for the first or second time in your life. And what value does that provide? So maybe in getting to that point, you are tired.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity to take some time is what's real and could be of greater benefit than pushing through. So sometimes I would say don't judge when we receive any sort of information, because the judgment is that's an excuse. And we are now no longer accepting that that's what's real for them.
I like that. That's good.
Something to think about.
Got me thinking.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks for commenting, Kelly and Beth and Jack. And Jack, thanks for sharing your celebration. We appreciate that. And I'm excited about incorporating that into the show. Everybody else, share your celebration. And if you have a one thing, your antidote that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts about excuses and receiving them. Additionally, if you happen to be listening to the podcast where there's no place to comment at all, we encourage you to join us in our Facebook group, Sculpt Your Business. It's easy to find. Just go to Facebook, search for Sculpt Your Business, and you can join us there, share your thoughts and ideas, and gain from the thoughts and ideas shared from others. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do, even if it's self-care like Tom getting a pedicure, hopefully, or me taking a nap, embrace the renegading you. It's so worth it.
Yes, indeed. All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.
Hey, you're probably saying, sculpt your business. What the heck is that? Well, sculpting your business is figuring out how to manage the excuses that you're telling yourself or that you're receiving, or the excuses you want to give yourself that are causing you chaos and confusion. And you really need confidence and control to build the vision or leadership of your dreams. We want to help you do that. So our Sculpt Your Business program does that. We talk with you, we walk with you, and we help you go from where you are to where you want to be. All you have to do is contact Tom or me, and you can go from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. It's easier than you think, and we want to help you do it.